wouldn't speak to them ever again. You know what? I'm not gonna speak to them ever again. And I'm not gonna invite them to another party as long as I live. They don't deserve to be invited to my party. Not after the way they've been acting. These people are losers. Yes, that's right. Well done.
Get your kid's ass out of here. Hello! I'm Discord Jedi Knight, and today we're reviewing My Little Pony episode 25, Party of One, and I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of a hard one, but don't get me wrong, it's very entertaining, and there are a lot of really good laughs in this. But when you're done laughing at her crazy antics and take a closer look at her character, you see just how fragile Pinkie's psyche really is. Now, I'm not gonna lie. If you've watched not only I wanted to hate My Little Pony video, you know that I couldn't stand her during the first season. To be honest, she comes halfway over the top in season 1, and I think no better episode shows that than this episode. And I'm one of the people that grew up with SpongeBob. Funny that I mentioned that name considering I got several comments comparing her to the talking sponge. Nowadays, especially with the latter seasons, SpongeBob really has fallen into that bad trap of taking a character trait and then being their only trait. Something I appreciate about them LP is that it does the exact opposite for most characters. It sets them up with an annoying trait at first, and then gradually adds context and nuance to each of the main 6, and for that matter, even Spike and Discord get that a little later. So many of you are gonna say, what's the difference? What made SpongeBob so good and why not Pinkie? Was it really just because you hated the color? And while sure, I could laugh and say that was a factor. The fact is, if you look at the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob, the reason why I and so many like him off the bat is because he was a positive, Navi source of entertainment. He meant well and wanted to see the good in life. From the very first episode, he had self-doubts and true moments of self-reflection and character growth all within the span of just the first few episodes. I feel as though the reason why it took me and so many like me so long to warm up to Pinkie, if we ever even did, is that the nuance of her personality and character growth takes so long to develop. And the reason why is pretty simple. It's kind of the same for all the main 6, really, except for Twilight. Pinkie isn't the main character, Twilight is. SpongeBob is the main character in his show, so much of the focus went to growing his character first. I even argue that the CMC are, in fact, more main characters than the rest of the main 6. That's right, I'd argue the show is not about Twilight and her friends. It's about Twilight, Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, and Scootaloo. At least in the first season, they are the ones that get the most focus out of everyone. If you look at the first 26 episodes, every character really gets one good all-out character episode, and the rest is told more or less through the lens of what Twilight sees her friends doing. Now, that's just season 1 eventually. There are so many adventures that the nuance between each character is more spread out. But in terms of the first season, Pinkie really gets the most in terms of lack of development, in my opinion. But you get used to her antics, and pretty soon, when you look back at her whole character, it's the same for all the main 6. You actually see that there's a lot more to her than just her at times annoying, over-the-top antics. And when things actually get serious, and she is no longer making jokes like that, you know things are actually pretty dire and serious. In fact, it really makes the important situations much darker because she isn't spouting jokes in the later seasons, and it actually makes you miss when she does. I think this is the episode that really cements that. There's something about seeing a happy-go-lucky character fall into such crazy depression when she thinks her friends are like her. This episode starts out with her pet alligator turning 1 year old. Afterwards, Twilight says we should do this again soon, before heading home, giving Pinkie the idea. Why not have some fun the next day? She goes to deliver the message, but everyone is strangely busy and keeps coming up with excuses as to why they can't join the so-called after-party. Pinkie feels bad about it, but when she oversaw Twilight sneaking into Sugar Cube Corner instead of studying like she was supposed to, Pinkie gets suspicious and hilariously starts investigating with her alligator. She finds all her friends sneaking around and wants to know what's going on. Eventually, she kidnaps Spike and offers him a pile of gems if he tells her what's going on. Hilariously, Spike doesn't understand what she means and says, "Just tell me what you want me to say." And she does, saying, "I want you to tell me my friends don't like me and want to be my friends anymore." Well, Spike confirms it, and part of me wants to. Yeah, they're both idiots. Spike is as much to blame as Pinkie for overthinking the situation. But in her defense, all her friends are being really wired. You know, it's interesting that this episode started a strange trope where Applejack is just bad at lying, when in reality, every single one of them is just as bad at lying as Applejack. They're all terrible. Okay, Twilight I can see needing to read, but Rarity dumping her hair in the trash really? Although I must admit this means she cares so much for her friend's birthday party surprise that she's willing to stick her hair in garbage just to keep it a secret. I'm sorry, but how many friends do you have who are willing to do that? But yeah, everyone is real bad. But Applejack isn't the worst. I think Fluttershy and Dash looking over a bear cave is the worst. Well, after that, Pinkie has a mental breakdown and starts talking to inanimate objects, treating them like her new friends. Yes, okay, this does give me SpongeBob vibes in the used napkin debate, by the way. That Penny has such a wonderful voice, doesn't it? Take it away, Penny!
Indoors, indoors, indoors. Take it away, Penny.
That Penny has the most beautiful voice.
Okay, eventually Dash grabs her to her birthday party. She completely forgot it was hers, and soon after catching up, she has a great time, giving us the lesson don't jump to conclusions. It's probably not as bad as you might think. Wait until you know all the facts first before you have a mental breakdown over a situation. How do some people actually need to learn this lesson today? We should probably have more adults watching MLP than kids, don't you think, Lol? Never mind. It's a very important lesson, I do agree, but wow. Was this a ride to get there? And as I said before, it adds a lot of nuance to Pinkie. Who would have thought someone so bubbly and happy could have so much built-up anxiety that at the first sign of trouble with her friends, she thinks it's over for them? Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the episode and for that mod of the comparison of SpongeBob versus Pinkie. Oh, thank God she didn't become like SpongeBob in the later seasons. Yeah, can you imagine how bad the show would have been if that were the case? I seriously don't know how to end this video, so I'm gonna just end it there. The episode nowadays, now that I actually really like Pinkie, is both entertaining and dark as hell, giving me a good laugh. I give it an 8 out of 10 out of 10, one of the better episodes for Pinkie. Not gonna lie. However, if you watched this episode and didn't like Pinkie, I don't think this episode would help you. I honestly think you'd be like me and think she's insane. But I'll let you tell me the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe for more. And guess what? We're almost done reviewing the entire first season. Here is a playlist of all my season reviews. If you want to watch more, don't forget, my friends, don't jump to conclusions and lose your mind, and friendship is magic.